In today's video, I want to share with you guys how I use Auto Peacekeeping on my account, and ultimately you're going to find out at the end of this video which account I decided to use Auto Peacekeeping on, whether that's my main or it's my farm account. You guys need to stick around to the end to find out. But to my knowledge, Auto Peacekeeping came into the game back in September, and this is something that players like me have been screaming out for ages, because it's one of those things that it feels like a chore when you have to go out and attack barbarians on the map. So in this video, I'm going to cover a number of things. I'm going to talk about the budget that I set aside. I'm going to talk about the AP system and where the bulk of your AP come from. I'm going to give you a scenario which ties into my daily routine and why this works for me. So if you're trying to decide whether or not to use Auto Peacekeeping as well, hopefully this video is going to give you all the tools that you need to make that decision. Then I'm going to look at the marches that I use, the march setup in terms of my 5 marches and the optimization that I made. In one of my recent live stream, I went ahead and I crafted a bunch of gear for my peacekeeping marches, so I'll take you guys through that as well. And finally, what I'm going to show you is a spreadsheet of all the data that I've gathered across doing a bunch of testing on my main and also on my farm, which ultimately led me to the decision where I want to go ahead and use the Auto Peacekeeping function here. Now, without further ado, let's jump into this video. The first thing I wanted to point out is that Auto Peacekeeping is something that is locked behind the paywall. So for me, it will cost $4.99 to unlock this for the first time, but after I use it for the first month, all the other times that I use Auto Peacekeeping on my account will cost me $8.99. So therefore I set myself a budget of $8.99 that I will use right across the time that I am using Auto Peacekeeping. So that's the first thing to bear in mind. Now, in order to use Auto Peacekeeping in the first place, you need to have AP in order to use it, and therefore I think it's important to actually point out how the AP system actually works. Now, if you log into the game, you'll find yourself with a full AP bar, which gives you 1,500 AP per day, plus an additional 500 that the game gives you, just for logging in each day. Now, the bulk of your AP is generated from your alliance or your kingdom, or the alliance that you're inside of your kingdom, daily from Barb Fort rallies, and this is actually capped at 7,500 AP per week. So therefore you want to ensure that you're in a kingdom that is active and doing rallies and Barb Forts throughout the 24 hours, 24 hours 7 days a week, to benefit from the 7,000 AP cap here that you get from claiming your alliance chest as well. Now, you can also gain unlimited amount of AP just from joining or launching Barb Fort rallies yourself. But if you're on your farm account, you may not have strong enough commanders to do so, but you can join in, and whenever you defeat a barbarian fort, it's not guaranteed to give you AP pots, but there is a chance that the amount of AP that you spend over a period of time, you'll find that you get more AP per AP spent. So this is where the unlimited amount of AP comes in. Now, in order to help me actually decide where to use autobarbing after gathering data on my main, testing it a bunch of times, and gathering data on my farm from subsequent tests as well, I want to present you guys with a scenario, and it goes like this. Let's say I log into the game at 10 a.m. in the morning and I've got a full bar of AP to use. I then think, okay, how long it's going to take me for my AP to fully regen back to that 1500, and that time is 12.5 hours. So I then try to figure out, okay, if it takes me 12.5 hours for the AP to regen, I need to be sending out my gatherers to combine with all of this to give me the full picture. And that's exactly what I did. So when I first log into the game at 10 a.m, I basically have a full AP bar of 1500, and this is not taking into consideration the extra 500 because I use that elsewhere. I use it to do my daily dispatch, so we're just going to disregard the 500 right now, okay? But because there's some additional things that peacekeepers do, for example, you know, based on talents like insight, you're going to end up getting a reduction based on the next barbarian hit, and so on and so on. So when you get to the 6th barbarian, you're going to be at the point where you're using less AP per barbarian hit, okay? And this is why it's important for you to use 5500 AP or 6000 AP per cycle. So in my scenario, like I said, I log into the game at 10 p.m. I know it's going to take me 12.5 hours for my AP to fully regen. So on top of that 1500 AP, I added 4000 AP, which gave me a grand total of 5550 AP, which I then round up to 6000, which will give me a total of 9 barbarians hit per march, okay? I then send out those barbarians, peacekeepers, to go and hit those barbarians, and when they return to my city, I then send out my gatherers, and I do this 3 times each time just to allow my AP to recover. Now let's say at 11 p.m. I now have a full AP bar, and just before I log off the game and, you know, get myself to sleep, ready for the next day, I'll use up that 1500 AP, and then I'll send my gatherers out again whilst I'm, you know, off game, and so that I can gather a bit more extra resources. And then I repeat this process for the following day. Now the following day I'll have a full bar of AP again, and I do the same thing over and over. So when I show you the spreadsheet at the very end, this is going to incorporate all the testings that I've done, all the resources and everything that I've gathered over that period of time, and you can see the large amount of resources that I'm able to obtain using Auto Peacekeeping and sending out my gatherers for 3 cycles throughout an entire day. So just imagine if you were to do this, you know, 2, 3, 4 times, 7 days a week, a month, 2 months or 3 months. The AP that you use is going to give you so much resources, is unbelievable. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to jump in game and I'm going to show you the marches that I used, the optimization that I've made, and the recommended talents. So the 5 marches that I'm going to be using for this setup is Etofled, Mulan, Boudica, Daichan, and I'm going to use Lohar for my final march. Now on a previous live stream, I went ahead and I crafted all these 4 pieces for the windswept set to give me that extra bit of stats that I need, and more importantly for the march speed as well. Also went and I crafted 2 pieces of the green here for the Vanguard Greaves, again just for the stats, and depending on what troop type I'm going to be running with each of these commanders. And I do the same thing right across for all of my 5 marches here, or my 5 commanders. And the next thing I did was go ahead and open up some armament crates to get some armaments here, and I'm using the double line because with double line, when you're marching towards a barbarian, you get in an extra 10% march speed. And the cool thing is that before they changed the auto barbing feature, you'd find that when you send your marches out, the first march to arrive will start hitting, and that's not good. But with the optimization that the game developers have made, they make it so that when you send your marches out, the first march you actually arrive at the barbarian, it wait for your final march to arrive, then they start hitting. But I'll show you that in a second. But I just wanted to show you guys that I'm running the double line formation that gives me extra 10% march speed, and I want to show you the gear that I actually crafted to use on these marches, just to optimize them to give me a little bit more sustain. Now, all of these commanders, I want to just to touch on that. You want to use commanders that are going to give you some kind of sustain in the open field. A lot of these peacekeepers doesn't actually provide you with any sort of healing on their kit. For example, Aetofled, she's got absolutely no healing, but the talents will give you some healing. Same thing with Mulan, there's no healing. Boudica does give you a small amount of healing. Daichan and Lohar also give you the same. Now, for all of these commanders, the talents that I'm recommending is the following. So if you're running Aetofled, you want to go up into the leadership tree, and you want to get healing herbs. Any healing this commander troop receive is increased by 9%. So basically, you want to be running a commander behind Aetofled that's going to provide some kind of healing. You want to go all the way into the peacekeeping tree to cure enchant here. Whenever this commander troop defeat barbarians, another governor troop, it receive a portion of slightly wounded units healing factor again of 500. So you definitely need this, because as soon as you defeat a barbarian, you're going to get a healing factor of 500, which you need for Aetofled, because like I've mentioned before, she's got no healing on her actual kit itself. And double-ended edged sword here is another good one to take up. But if you're going to go all the way to Kyurem-chan, you're going to pick this up along the way. But again, this commander troop deals 15% more damage to barbarians, which helps you to kill those barbs a lot faster, but also takes 15% damage. All about, and that's kind of negligent, because at the end of the day, the damage that the barbarians are dealing back to you is not going to be that great to, actually give you a bunch of sevs, or, defeat your marches quite quickly so you get back to the city. But the most important thing that you're getting from here is an extra 15% healing when your troops receive healing. And this is why these talents are quite important, and it's quite important for you to actually use a secondary behind Aetofled, for example, that gives some healing, so you can take advantage of all of these talents. For example, Elixir, like I've mentioned, healing herbs, double-edged sword, and cure enchant. Another couple of things I want to mention here is Trophy Hunter, because this is going to give you some extra resource in the shape of some resource pack level C, and this is going to add up when we actually go over to the spreadsheet. We're going to see all those data as well. Insight is a must-have, because remember, this is going to give you less AP use. So each march, you're basically saving yourself 10 AP per march, like I've mentioned previously. Same thing for Mulan. The talents that I've recommended are these ones. Now, because Mulan is integration, I didn't go into the integration tree. However, I went to counter attack, which gives 9% attack for 3 seconds whenever you receive healing. And again, you want to run a commander behind Mulan, is that's going to provide you with some healing as well. And the same thing, I went for Elixir, and went to rejuvenate just for that extra bit of rage as well, to fire off those active skills. Boudica is exactly the same. All the talents in the peacekeeping tree, picking up Trophy Hunter, Insight as well. And because Boudica is actually integration skill, again, we went to rejuvenate and we went to clarity, just to give us some extra bit of damage so we can kill those barbarians a lot faster. Now, if we go over to Daichan, she's the same. same talent. Again, we went all the way into the support tree. We grab rejuvenate, we get ourselves counter attack, and also picking up elixir along the way, grabbing trophy hunter inside a peacekeeping tree and also inside. And finally we get to Lohar, which is the very same build as our Mulan as well. So now I want to show you the marches that I use and how I actually set up the auto peacekeeping on this account. So again, you can use this method, you know, to look at the commanders that you've got on your account and kind of like go the same route which I'm using right now. So with Boudica, I'm running Boudica with archers, and I'm using Shajar, because Shajar on her first skill is going to give us some healing, as well as giving us some healing towards our other marches as well. For me, it's only level 1 right now, so I'm only getting heal up to 3 nearby ally troop, healing factor of 250, so it does help. It would be more beneficial if I've got more points into the third skill here, but this is what I've got for now, and this actually works. So you can use the same setup. I'm running Shazar at 5-1-1-1-1, and Boudica is max. Next commander is Daichan with Hera, and Daichan actually gives you some kind of healing as well, so it's not a great deal amount, it's only 500, but it's something. And like I said, the main objective for all of these marches is just to give you a little bit of sustain, and having equipments and armaments on your commander is definitely going to, you know, help to go a long way. Now the key thing here where I'm using Hera, now Hera doesn't provide any healing, but it does give you some shield. And what I find is, regardless of where I put my Daichan in my 5 march lineup here, Daichan is always the one that end up being the last one to arrive at those barbarians, and therefore she's the one to start hitting the barbarian first. I don't know if that's a design in the game. I've not figured that out yet, but if you guys know, you can let me know in the comment section below. But Hera for me is a key, because if you're doing events like those time events, for example, race against time, and you've got a bunch of barbarians in the same area where you're hitting, it helps to have an AoE commander. So as soon as the AoE commander hits the barbarian that you're not directly attacking, all your other 4 marches will go to that one. So again, like I said, if you're on a map where you got a dense amount of barbarians, it helps to have an AoE commander. My third march is going to be Lohar with Gamchan. So I know Gamchan, he needs, you know, for his skill or his healing to actually pop off here, he needs to be doing combo attack, right? And in my testing that I've done, it's not actually working against barbarians, and the skill actually said it doesn't work against barbarian. But I'm using Gamchan because on this account it's mainly geared towards well, it is geared towards cavalry commanders. So all the commanders that I use goal heads to expertise or to level up, they're all cav based. So because I went ahead and flex and expertise my Gamchan, I'm using him behind Lohar, who does provide some healing, and definitely helps with the sustain in the battlefield as well against those barbs, right? My fourth commander is Mulan with Huo, and Huo does give you some extra healing as well, which ties into the talents that I've mentioned earlier. You're getting 3000 healing factor, so that's definitely going to help with the sustain for Mulan, because again, like Aethelflaed, she's got absolutely no healing on her kit whatsoever. And finally, we can talk about Aethelflaed, which we look at in the very beginning. I'm running her with Frederick, and we're taking advantage of that 1000 healing factor that Frederick provides to lock into Aethelflaed's talents as well. So those are the 5 marches that I will be using for my auto peacekeeping. But no, what I want to do is to show you guys how I set this up and why. So what you want to do, if you're in Home Kingdom, and you're using Auto Peacekeeping, you want to set this up to go for level 20 to level 40 barbarians, because the range that you set this up using is quite important. For me, you can see I've done 0% units remain, and that's purely because my marches have got equipments, they've got armaments, so by the time I take to use the amount of AP that I will set in a moment, my marches will still be healthy, and that's why you want to run a composition where you've got some level of sustain and you've got some stats that's going to help your armies on the open field. All right, so because I'm in KVK right now, the range that I've set is for 41 to 55, and these are the actual commanders that we talked about earlier. Now I went ahead and I selected use AP recovery item. Now this is important because at the start of the video I mentioned per day I want to use a maximum of 6,000 AP or 5,500 AP to hit 9 barbarians, to give me all the time that I need to recover my AP within that 12.5 hours. So you definitely want to go ahead and select use AP recovery items to on. Now if I wanted to go ahead and select the amount of AP that I want to use, all I simply need to do is to set the range here, and you can see if I wanted to go ahead and hit 11 barbarians, it's going to cost me a total of 5,500 AP. But remember, the cost to hit 11 barbarians is actually 5,550. Now because it only goes up in 100 increments, you basically need to set it at 6,000 and leave it right there. So if I press start right now, my marchers will go out and they will attack 12 barbarians and then return to my city. But I just want to use, for the purpose of this video, 1,500 AP, and this is going to be quicker because each of my marches will attack 3 barbarians each. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And this is what I mentioned at the start of the video, based on the fact that Rise of Kingdoms optimized the auto peacekeeping in such a way whereas it's no longer as soon as your first march gets out of your city, it starts to attack. What tends to happen right now, they wait for all your marches to be there and then they start to attack. Now, in previous tests that I've done, Lohar was not the march that was tanking for me, but for some reason he's the one actually tanking right now. Usually I find that Diachon plus Hera would be the march that actually end up being a tanking march, but we'll see if this run is actually changed over to somebody else. Ooh, this is quite good. I'm actually getting Lohar to tank here for me, which is pretty good for this video. So yeah, this is working out pretty nicely on the second attempt here. But this is where the AoE comes in. You can see my Hera actually hit this Barb here, this level 42. So instead of my marches go off in all different directions right now, everyone is now going to focus on hitting that march where the Hera AoE actually hits. And this is where it works out nicely if you're doing the time trial events such as Race Against Time, where you need to hit as much barbarians in such short time. So now you can see my marches are going back because each march has just gone out and they've hit a total of 3 barbarians each here, as you can see. Now Daichan actually didn't hit 3 because of the AoE, so I managed to save myself some AP here, and this is why I 100% recommend, if you've got AoE commanders, you need to go ahead and use them. Commanders like YSG, if you've got them, commanders like Zhujian, or even QSH as well. But any AoE commanders that you can use, I'd recommend you go ahead and use them. Now What I want to do now is to show you the data that I've gathered on my main account and also on my farm, which ultimately led me to the decision to use Auto Peacekeeping. And I'm going to spill the beans right now. I'm going to use Auto Peacekeeping on my farm account. And the biggest reason I'm going to do that is because on my farm, I've got more AP to use, and the AP that I've got on my main account, I am going to use that in KVK to chain barbarians, so I can actually get crystals to level up my tech, because that's where it matters most for me in terms of field potential. But using the AP on my farm account here is going to give me a lot of resources and other things that I can transfer over to my main. When I say transfer over to my main, I'm just talking about the resources that I'm transferring to my main after using the auto barbing feature combined with my gathering as well. So if I go to the first tab here, you can see based on doing the cycles that I just showed you, I'm covering a cycle of 9 barbarians per march, and I'm using a total of 6,000 AP just to round it up. But the actual total that you need is 5,500 AP, and you're going to combine that with 3 cycles of gathering. Here on my the first march that actually goes out, you can see I got 62 of the 1,000 food. I got 36 level 1 tome of knowledge. I got 9 5-minute training speed ups, and if we go to the right here, you can see we got some mats as well. Now all of these things except for the resources is going to remain on my farm account, whilst I'm going to eventually transfer all the resources, i.e. wood, food, stone and gold, over to my main. And that's the reason why I decided to go ahead and use the Auto Peacekeeping on my farm instead of using it on my main. On the second run here, this time we got 56 1000 wood, we got 31 level 1 tomes of knowledge, and we got 7 of the 1-minute universal speed ups, which is going to come in handy when I'm training troops for either the crusade and stuff, because the bulk of my training is going to be done from my farm account, because that's what I'm going to use for filling rallies and garrisons and saving my troops on my main, which I don't really train that much troop on my main, just for enough to sustain me in the open field if I'm swarming down a rally or a garrison and stuff like that. On this occasion we didn't actually get any materials, but that's absolutely fine. I'm not in this for the materials. All I'm in it is for the resources that I'm actually gaining. But instead of me going on and showing you all the different things I get across all 9 barbarians hit, I'm just going to show you guys, just scroll down here and show you what I actually got from all the data that I gathered. And if I scroll to the right, you can see the actual resources, not resources, but materials and gems that I can actually use. So on this occasion, after hitting 9 barbarians per march, I only got like 90 gems, but that's okay. This was done in Old Kingdom as well, so you know that when you're actually in the KVK map, the chances of you getting more gems from barbarian hit is a lot higher than it is in Old Kingdom. But this data was gathered in Old Kingdom. I just wanted to make that clear as well. So we only got 90 gems, but the 90 gems here is going to end up turning into resource for me, because I can either use it in more than gems, which is going to give me some pick 1 level resource packs, or I can use it in other places like the VIP shop to purchase resource, which I can later transfer over to my main account. Now if we go to the Barb total here, you can see just from using the 1 cycle of 6,000 AP that I mentioned at the start, you can see the amount of wood, food, stone and gold that I managed to get here. I got a total of 1,450 level 1 resource pack C, which gives you either 1,000 wood, 1,000 food, 750 stone, or 500 gold. We got some tomes of knowledge here, which is not actually beneficial for my main, but it's going to be beneficial for my farm account. Speed ups that I got on my from doing these cycles, again, I can't transfer these, but they are beneficial for training troops, healing my hospital, that sort of stuff when I'm in KVK. Arrows, my towers, if you're arrow on your city, you need arrow of resistance as well. You can go ahead and use that to upgrade your tower as well on your city. But in terms of materials, you don't get a lot of materials, which is kind of weird why the game only give you certain amount of material. I know these are premium currency here, but you know, you can see there you don't get a lot, so you're not in it for the materials, especially in the Own Kingdom anyway. You're in it for the resources, based on what I talked about earlier, and the speed ups that you're gonna get towards helping you to train troops so you can join the rallies, you know, field structures, all that kind of good stuff. Now, resource pack C is the only weirdness here. Now, I am assuming that for each of the different types of resource that you can get from the level 1 resource pack type C, I'm assuming the total is going to be a 25% split. So what I mean is 25% of the time I'm going to get this amount of food, 25% of the time I'm going to get the same amount for wood, and if I do that, it's going to be the same for stone. So all of these 4 different resource type, I'm saying there's a 25% chance of obtaining these amount of resources, and I just use that for baseline. So it might be more or less depending on how the game actually gives you those based on the randomness. Okay, now again, I'm assuming that I'm going to be gathering from level 8 resource node for wood, food, stone, and gold here. But you can see I normally gather like 2 lots of gold, but I actually went and gathered 1 lot of gold because I leave my 5th March to join rallies and stuff. But if I'm not in a rally for a Barb Fort rally, then I'm using my 5th March to gather a 2nd lot of gold. So basically I'm doing 2 gold, 1 food, 1 wood, and 1 stone. And these are the total that I will get per cycle, and these are the time that will take me to gather each of those resource type and how many times per day. So if I do this 3 times per day, you can see how much resources that I will get based on my recommendation. I'd say use Auto Peacekeeping along with gathering at least 3 times a day, and you'll see that you're getting a large amount of resources. So in summary, the total food, wood, stone, and gold that I get for just 1 cycle is, for all 4 cycles, sorry, is this. Then from the resource packs, from using talents like Trophy Hunter, then these are the resources that I will be getting right here for the resource packs. And then if we go to combining the gathering, if I'm gathering 3 times per day, you can see here how much food, wood, stone, and gold I'll be getting. So a total of all of these other things combined is going to give me a grand total of these amount in terms of the different resource type here. So I hope this gives you guys a really good understanding as to why you want to use Auto Peacekeeping on your account that has more AP. I would recommend that you don't use the AP on your main to use the autobarb feature, unless you're pushing for honor and KVK and stuff like that. But you're, you know, doing it on your farm account where you've got decent commanders, peacekeeping commanders, and decent gear, armaments, and that kind of stuff, you can see that the reward that you get at the end of it is going to be beneficial for both your farm account and your main, and you can transfer those resources over to your main account to help you with fighting and stuff like that in KVKs, right? Because that's where it all actually matters at the end of the day. And in summary, for my daily output, and this is just per day. So remember when I said earlier that for one cycle, this is the amount of food that I'll get. But when I combine 4 cycles, you can see the numbers jump up here in a crazy amount of way, that only using 6,000 AP is going to generate all these resources for you. My daily gathering, 3 cycles per day, is going to give me that on top of the resources that I'm gaining from using the autobarb feature. And the daily output for food gathering total here, when all of these different things combine, this is the amount that I'm expecting to get. So with that said, guys, I hope you guys get a really good understanding of how I plan to use autobarb and on my main on my farm account, and essentially give you an idea where you could potentially use this as well. With that said, I want to say big shout out to P-Man for actually recommending that I do a video about Auto Peacekeeping. P-Man went over to my Discord server. You can find a link to Discord in all of my videos description or on my live streams, and you can go into the Discord and leave a comment in the section that says video or stream ideas, because P-Min did that, and here we are today making a video about the Auto Peacekeeping and how I plan to use it going forwards. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, consider liking the video, consider sharing the video with your friends, consider subscribing to the channel as well. We've recently hit 550 subs, and we're growing this channel ever so slightly each day. And with that, I want to say thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys on my next live stream. Take care, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.